The Fabulous 413 podcast is funded by Greenfield Savings Bank, providing residential lending advice. Greenfield Savings Bank, member FDIC, DIF, equal housing lender, NMLS 409187.
Welcome to the Fabulous 413. I'm Khalees Smith.
And I'm Monty Belmonte. Later in the show, a one-night theater extravaganza that looks at gatherings and how integral they are to human experience with the latest recipient of a pay-it-forward grant from City Space in Easthampton, Human Agenda Theater.
And we'll make hard decisions concerning hard cider when we pit two of the season's best beverages against each other and taste the history of West County Cider with Benson, Hyde, and Bruce McAmis of Provisions in Northampton.
But first, a first for you, Khalees.
But it's more than that. It's a whole adventure.
Into the guts of the beast.
And the ghosts of the sea.
This is a very special Live Music Friday because tonight and tomorrow...
Mantis Shrimp is playing for you.
Well, we're not going to hear the Mantis Shrimp, but we are going to hear about Leviathan, and we are going to hear about a happening, and we are going to hear live music from Cloudbelly, who are part, or really responsible for this happening. Sam Perry, who's the guitar player and singer with Cloudbelly. Tell us what a happening is here at the Shea Theater, Avenue A, Turners Falls, full disclosure, president of the board, volunteer, don't make any money off it, I don't own the theater.
That's not why we're here.
A happening is a really fun event that we put on at the Shea. This will be the fourth year. It is an immersive experience wherein we transform the entirety of the Shea Theater from top to bottom, all the nooks and crannies, into a magical world. And this year, the theme is Leviathan. I don't want to give too much away, but we're riffing on themes of Moby Dick and Jonah and the Whale and all kinds of seafaring nautical things. And right now, we're speaking to you from one of the deepest, most interior spaces,
Which is usually the Shea Green Room.
Which right now kind of looks like a mystical sea cave deep under the ocean.
Things that look like seaweed. It's great, and it's lit so eerily.
But in the corner over here near one of the pianos we have in the green room, there is this whole one-person band setup.
Yes, so Matthew Thornton, who's sort of a Western Mass local legend, has become part of this event, and this will be the second year that he's involved. And
Last year he played like a giant...
he was a fly. He was a
fly
fly
playing the cello.
Playing the cello.
It was unreal.
So he's upped the ante even further this year, and he has a one-man band, and each of his hands and feet are different sea creatures of the one-man band, which is called Blenny and the Bottom Feeders. Blenny is on his head is an eel mask he's made. Then he has on the drum kit this little shrimp named Prawn Bonham. His hi-hat is a clam, Clamela Anderson.
What's the octopus's name?
Seth Alapod. And then he has a hermit crab on the bass synth. It's another pun, and I totally forget. Whatever. You'll find out. He's going to introduce the band.
There's got to be some surprises for people.
Yes. So this is just one of the many intriguing spaces throughout the Shea you can explore.
Well, let's walk through the building and see some more stuff, and then we'll get to hear some Cloudbelly music when we find Corey Laitman.
Yeah. It's also just super cool because, like, every nook and cranny of the Shea is being used. It's this whole different, like, room and part of the beast.
Yeah, you get to see the theater in a way you would never see it. But
Yes.
Also, you don't get to see the theater at all.
Yes.
I have been in this theater 1,000 times, and I've been lost in the green room at happenings that have happened previously.
I also love Father Mapple's Whaling Chapel.
Yes, that is a part of
We did just walk through the intestines of a whale at this Leviathan happening tonight and tomorrow, where we're walking with Cloudbelly Sam Perry. So this is director Linda Tardif, who's walking around here's office that usually looks officey, loaded with officey stuff. But now, what is it?
It's a library today.
It's an ancient library of magic.
So there's books, there's a full suit of armor in here. There's what looks like a head of phrenology, which is the debunked study of the bumps on your head.
Bullfinch's mythology, and that's the most important.
Ooh, I love that book.
true.
Is it ours? Because this is where
It's
Enzo's...
mine.
Okay, I was going to say. My son Enzo happens to be the one who will be in this room, I guess.
Shameless plug.
But then this is like a storage closet where we usually like keep all of our wine and booze and mops.
Oh, it's back there.
But what you see is this...
Don't go looking for that.
all these tiny little tables with little vases and like dead flowers and empty bottles and weirdo kind of aged paper and these cloth fabrics covering everything in there.
That'll be Marina Goldman's space.
You mentioned that this is the fourth one and that sometimes the story ties into, like, continues all along. What were the other themes before Leviathan?
The first year was sort of occulty, sort of magic, ceremonial magic stuff. The second year was fables, and then last year was specifically Ovid's Metamorphoses.
Hence the fly.
Wait, do I hear Corey?
Meanwhile, 3 performers are working on some sort of choreography with a ladder, featuring none other than Cat Adler. You guys just keep going, I'll adjust time. Cat Adler was not only is a genderless ghost all the time, but as one of the founding members, creators of a happening, you just got right now some really exciting news.
Yes, thank you so much to the Markham Nathan Fund for Social Justice. They have just granted us $4,000 so that we can pay our artists to be participating in this project. I think it's really important to mention that everyone here who is participating are artists in their own right, and often that means in this economy that they have day jobs. They are leaving their work for the week to dedicate their time to this, to be able to gift people with at least some means of compensation means a whole lot in this time.
Kudos to the Markham Nathan Fund, who do awesome work all the time.
Value the arts,
Yeah.
'cause otherwise you don't get any.
Yep.
We found Corey! Corey Laitman, chief singer-songwriter for Cloudbelly. You're also part of the infrastructure of this happening. Tell us what you're bringing to the table tonight and tomorrow here at the Shea.
Wow, you have such a good radio voice. And
It's just me, Corey. Just regular old me.
I know, but then I want to like mimic and kind, but I don't have a practiced radio voice, so I'm just going to talk like
just
I'm
be
just
you.
talking
That's
to
how
you.
it's done.
Sick, that's great. I don't know if anyone's told you the premise yet of the show.
Leviathan.
The Leviathan. So we're all existing inside of a whale. We're on a ship, and then we got swallowed by a whale, and now we're just living kind of partially alive and partially dead. We're like kind of the happy undead in the belly of a whale. And so I was a stowaway on the ship. Now I'm just kind of like getting pretty blasted in one of the downstairs rooms.
So this is like my regular weekend at the Shea.
This is essentially your regular weekend at the Shea, yes. And Davy Jones, performed by Wyatt Andrews, is going to be my neighbor.
And here's
He's gonna
Wyatt Andrews right there.
Oh, Wyatt Andrews.
Wyatt Andrews.
Fancy seeing you here. Yeah, so he's going to be cursing people into oblivion.
I can't wait. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
gonna be good. Can you give us a string that I'll bleep out?
Gotta get into character here.
Yeah. Come on, Davy Jones. Hey, we're the monkeys.
You once thought of me.
May your guts turn to chum and your teeth turn to scum. May your eyes melt from ye skull and turn into naught, but you stay alive the whole time and feel the suffering and hear the cries of horror as maidens see your disgusting, bloated, weeping face.
Yes!
That's on the spot. That's the best I could do on the spot. So
That was pretty great.
No, your ears you keep, and I'll tell you why.
Yeah, exactly.
Wallowing in freakish misery forever.
I think you're bluffing.
Corey, you were joking that you didn't have a radio voice, but you literally wrote an NPR quote about a happening?
Well, I may have an NPR writing voice, but not a speaking voice.
What is the quote?
Well, it's written down in my journal, so I'm gonna go fetch it.
We'll let Sam Perry tune up while that happens. You've got a Rickenbacker and a bow.
I do indeed. For any gearheads out there, I've been on a quest to find the right guitar to be the electric guitar sound of Cloudbelly, and I've been through a lot of different instruments, and the Rickenbacker 330 is the one I've landed on. I love it.
It sounds so pretty.
What's your quote, Corey?
Oh, goodness.
Okay, this is my very cursorily written pitch for you all to come to a happening Friday and Saturday. Unless you live a life where acute novelty is consistently introduced, and most of us don't, there's a kind of constriction of the imagination, a dulling of the inner life that can happen. We can become spiritually and imaginatively anemic. We stop paying attention, inhabiting our lives in a responsive way. We lose the edge of aliveness. And I think this is why we are so enchanted by stories like Narnia and Harry Potter, walking through old closet doors to discover mystical, fantastical realms. It's why we make blanket forts as kids, why we play pretend. It's important to, every so often, worry and distress the edges of habitual reality, because it puts us back in touch with our moment-to-moment aliveness. It wakes us back up to the reality of how much mystery and strangeness surrounds us at all times. It makes us less rigid and more open. The makers of a happening know this. We are here to play, to rustle up some good trouble, and help us all thin the veil separating us from the part of ourselves that's most awake.
So NPR.
That was Corey Laitman speaking on the happening at the Shea Theater.
That's for you, Krista Tippett.
We'll be back shortly on Fresh Air.
Fresh air. This is Marketplace. But immersing ourselves in the inner organs and workings of those living undead inside a mythical beast isn't the only thing happening at the Shea.
Because in a few, we'll get to hear live music Friday with Cloudbelly from the innards of the Leviathan.
And later in the show, more theater with Alex Paquin and Colette Parrow of Human Agenda Theater, who perform Within the Glow tonight, and a locally brewed cider thunderdome at Provisions Northampton.
You're listening to the Fabulous 413 on 88.5 NEPM.
For the third time ever on the show, but for the first time Khalees has been able to witness it, but the first time ever on the show from the belly of a whale. We are in the Shea Theater, which tonight will be a happening, tomorrow will be a happening, and this band will be playing at the Iron Horse Saturday, November 2nd for Live Music Friday, doing a song that is steadily approaching November. Here's Cloudbelly on the Fabulous 413. Cloudbelly live from the belly of a whale inside the Shea Theater in Turner's Falls, where Leviathan will happen tonight and tomorrow. And Cloudbelly will be also playing at the Iron Horse next Saturday, November 2nd.
So last year you made a video out of part of the happening. Has your band always done music as part of these 4 happenings?
From year 2, Cloudbelly has been sort of integral to a happening. We're not actually playing as a duo this year, although we have the years past. But Corey and I are sort of, I would say, core contributors to a happening at this point. And yes, we did shoot a really cool music video on the sets of the happening last year for our song Handfuls.
So if you missed the giant fly playing the cello but want to see it, if you watch the video for Handfuls, you indeed see it.
The fly's in there playing the cello with multiple arms. It's very cool.
Who directed this video, Corey Laitman?
Our friend, Bob Kriskowski, he is just a quiet little visionary living a life in Turner's Falls. He's actually not that quiet. But
You may know him by his official theatrical name, which is Robert D. Kriskowski, director of The Man Who Killed Hitler and Then the Bigfoot, starring Sam Elliott.
And who will be very shortly directing Grendel. And we had him on talking with Brian Henson about that production. Yeah. Yeah.
Nice.
So that's
the character sketches.
yeah. We got to talk to Brian Henson, so that's cool. And he directed your music video.
He did, it's true, and he did an incredible job. It's gorgeous and phantasmagorical.
And I'm in it.
And you're dancing. Monty's dancing.
He definitely gave me a kind edit where there's like one shot that was like, Bob did that to me as a favor so that I would be clearly viewed, and I appreciate that, Bob. Are you going to do the song from the video that was filmed here at the last happening?
we certainly are. We're going to do it right now.
Nice.
We sure
Well, here is Cloudbelly, who are behind a happening tonight at the Shea Theater and tomorrow night as well, and who'll be playing the Iron Horse next Saturday.
One day my heart won't break. Then maybe I'll step out of my body, maybe I'll burst into blue. But this morning it feels unlikely. And with this snow falling slow, I don't know that I don't want for it to. And your mind's made up. I know, I know, I know. Still I'll be gathering handfuls of you against the cold. Dry heat and filled full sleep. We watch the clouds become a fountain, the ground become a mirror. Watched a meteor strike through the big sky last night.
Belly, who are part of a happening at the Shea Theater tonight and tomorrow, and who are playing the Iron Horse next Saturday, November 2nd.
You put out an album earlier this year. Being a part of this really immersive experience, even though it's a different setting each year, how much of that do you take into your songwriting process for the next bit, or do you use this to kind of workshop things you've already got percolating?
I definitely will oftentimes, and I will be doing this year as well, use the performance time here to do a lot of improvisation and kind of play with sounds. I will inevitably discover some new sounds.
Also worth noting that Sam Perry does the soundtrack for John Bechtold's immersive installation that Khalees and I have gone through at Mass Mocha, where I end and you begin. Yes.
It's true.
What about you, Corey?
Well, I think as a writer, I can get stuck in ruts of doing the thing that's familiar over and over and over again. And what I get, one thing of many things that I get from doing this project is kind of an exploded sense of weirdness and possibility that infuses my writing for a time after we do this project, which I think really elevates the vibe.
Yeah. There's sort of an afterglow. And a lot of people that come through a happening will have told me after that they were really inspired to make art after coming.
And indeed, people who don't generally make art publicly will be making art as part of a happening this weekend.
Yeah, both Sam and Kat, who are kind of holding the space for this whole thing to happen.
Kat Adler, yeah,
our beautiful Kat Adler, are really good at giving people permission to experiment. Artists and non-artists alike. I think that's why so many people who don't practice as artists in their day-to-day life are enticed to be part of a happening, is because there's so much permission here to just try things. And we hope to extend that to the audience as well.
Well, Cloudbelly, you're my friends in real life and live in my town, and I'll also just say I love your music so much that my childhood best friend, who was arguably the first love of my life, I give her music every year on her birthday, and her birthday was yesterday, and I sent her Cloudbelly's album as my gift to her.
Thanks, Monty.
Also, Castle Rat.
Oh, yeah. Castle Rat's the freaking
They're like a medieval themed metal band.
Oh, sick.
So I wanted to do something hard and something hard and something soft. Yeah.
It's good. It's good to get the full spectrum.
I also sent her the Dream Eaters, who are described as Slayer meets the Carpenters, so it's almost like Castle Rat meets Cloudbelly.
We're going to the craft fair at the library.
We're going to the craft fair at the library.
Love it, yeah.
Holy crap. Okay, so my new goal for this year, starting now, is to get a triple bill with us and Dream Eater and Castle Rat.
Yeah.
That'd be the ultimate.
I would be there, front
At
row.
the Shea. I think it's
Oh,
important
yeah.
that it
There
be
you
the
go.
Shea.
I mean, it sounds like a real good time.
Let's make it happen.
At least one of those bands spits blood on stage.
Yeah, it's Cloudbelly.
It's us.
A happening is happening tonight and tomorrow, October 25th and 26th, with suggested donation, but no one will be turned away for lack of funds.
Saturday, 12 to 4 is absolutely free behind-the-scenes look at all the spaces and a live performance at 3 from Leafies You Gave Me, who you were hearing until it faded down right there. They're playing in the background right now.
We'll bring you even more theater with the company behind the latest Pay It Forward grant, Human Agenda Theater, who will bring us together for Within the Glow tonight in Easthampton.
But first, 2 ciders enter. But we all win with the Thunderdome at Provisions Northampton.
You're listening to the Fabulous 413 on 88.5 NEPM.
NEPM's podcasts are funded by Armbrook Village Senior Living in Westfield, offering assisted living and compass memory support with evidence-based treatment for those with memory loss. More at armbrookvillage.com. The Fabulous 413 podcast is funded by the UMass 5 College Credit Union, offering co-op advantage checking with cash back on all purchases, plus secure debit card controls, all from the UMass 5 mobile banking app. Insured by NCUA, umass5.coop.
It's time for a Wine Thunderdome detour because we're full on in fall and we are in apple cider season and we're in one of the greatest places on earth for hard cider. And we are, for the first time, drinking in the basement of Provisions Northampton, even though we've drunk at Bottle O right down the street with Bottle O Joe. And we have gone many times to your Long Meadow location, and we're here with our Provisions buddies, Benson Hyde and Bruce McAmis.
Now we just need to hit Amherst at some point.
Yeah, they will have it all done.
Fully stamp our passports.
Yeah.
And here sniffing my crotch is your dog, Quincy.
Quincy, yeah.
You call him Quincy, I'll call him Quincy because I'm from the Boston area.
Quincy, yeah.
That's how you say it with the Z. But I want to ask you a question. Who's a good boy?
Oh, it's him.
Yeah,
It's
you
him.
don't eat my recorder, Quincy.
He's just trying to answer.
What we're going to drink for cider here at Provisions is from our favorite cider maker from around here.
West County Cider.
And Benson, you and your family have a connection with this hallowed cider maker that's kind of started it all in this region.
Yeah, my aunt and uncle actually were helping them bottle, I think, their first batch, like way back when they were like doing it in their basement.
We've had Field Maloney on the show who
Went
has...
to school with my ex-partner.
Oh, an incestuous world we've woven here, the world of apple cider. But West County really was, and Terry and Judith Maloney were going to grow wine grapes here, having come from California. And they're like, you know what? It's not meant for that here. Let's do what was meant for here, which is apples. And it's been an incredible history, a sad and tragic history, as Terry Maloney passed away doing what he loved, which was making cider, but the tradition lives on in their son Field.
And honestly, I think that one of the reasons they make such incredible cider is they really bring that winemaking mentality. I think that there's a lot of crossover, and you see just the way that they make their cider has that sort of overarching mentality.
Not to harp on like the way that it was before Terry's death, but like they were doing single varietals. Like at one point they had like, I think, upwards of 20 single apple varietals in bottle, which is insane. It also gave you a really good understanding of the range of flavors and availability and what the apple really can do in glass. Again, just like a winery. Mm-hmm. I still have a bottle of Cavall Blanc that I refuse to open because I am scared to do so. It's not available. It's the last bottle I know of that exists.
What if it would be better to drink now?
So actually, I've tasted, we had Field here in this basement to do old vintage where he brought out some of his last bottles of different things, and their cider ages incredibly well. Some of those old bottles were singing.
Heaven help me for the way I am.
It was absolutely spectacular. It actually made me realize how we really, as a culture, are drinking our cider too young. You know, some of that more serious cider making, just like wine, it really ages beautifully and it gets better as it's hung out in a bottle for a while.
We're starting to see a lot more of that with blends too, as opposed to like single varietals. Like Kingston Black is almost always aged for like longer, but now we're starting to see them do blends that have a lot more time before we actually get to enjoy it.
And some cider makers working with apples that you're used to eating, which wasn't the case in the early days. Like you can get a Macintosh-based cider now, and they're not that bad.
In fact, we're going to have one.
Oh, all right.
This is, I think, one of the exciting things that cider makers are really leaning into now is that single varietal and highlighting those and really highlighting place and space and vintage and varietal. It's cool.
Well, beyond your dumb Granny Smith Angry Orchards.
Yeah. And if you really want to dig deep, Cider Days is coming up, and they have one of the best shows of apple exhibits that you can find, I think, probably in the world.
I'm sure we'll do more about Cider Days, but it is...
it's the best time of the year! The best day of the year!
It really exploded the apple cider culture of Western Massachusetts across the United States and even around the world. People come from literally all over the world to Franklin County to experience the Cider Days event, to learn about how to grow apples, how to care for the trees, how to make these ciders. And they used to have this incredible cider tasting salon that I hope
starting to come back. We're actually going to be pouring some of the international stuff that can't show up for the salon. Provisions, Bruce, I don't know if you know this, or we're going to be pouring it.
Yeah, Bruce.
So there is.
You're going to be pouring it.
There's a salon this year at Headwater Cider.
All right, so we got 2 West County ciders. I don't think we mentioned they're in Coleraine.
They're in Coleraine. I would say we probably want to start with the Pura Vida, which is the Macintosh. Mm-hmm. Pura Vida meaning sort of lively and fresh.
Pure life.
Pure life.
It's the slogan of Costa Rica.
This was one of the first styles that they brought back, one of their flagships.
And when they brought it back, they actually brought it back with that really cool skull label. Yeah. This is my favorite bottle. I wish I had saved one of those.
Now it just has an apple on it. Still a beautiful label.
Still beautiful. I think that this really also demonstrates that sort of like Mac freshness.
Hello, I'm a Mac. And I'm a PC.
That crisp, fresh, and done in a bone dry cider.
That's the thing that's important to me about it. Like some ciders can, with especially eating apples, can lean too sweet. This one is austere and painful, just like I like it.
Not like super painful. Like sometimes I find Spanish ones to be a little painful.
Yes.
But this is like, it's dry and it's got like just a hint of funk on the end of it, which is not a thing that you usually get with eating apples and cider.
Admittedly, I know next to nothing about cider, but is there no added dosage or anything to this? Okay.
And a dosage is a little bit of sugar usually, right, that they use to make it
And
bubbly.
usually you would add the dosage to bump up the ABV, which, you know, they're not doing.
Alcohol by volume.
I'm guessing the Angry Orchard has added dosage.
We're not talking about them.
Here's the thing.
They've done a lot for the idea of cider.
That's
It's
right.
Like someone's got to hold the flag. So thank you, Angry Orchard, and oh gosh, who are the people? Oh, Woodchuck for doing that, but like also drink.
$2
better-
woodchuck.
Drink better cider. My British friends are mad at me right now because they always insist that cider should be sweet.
Nah.
Oftentimes, adding sugar is used to cover mistakes, and especially with like West County and some of these higher, you know, more artisanal makers. The whole point is that the quality shines through in the juice. You're not covering anything up.
All right, so we're in the basement of Provisions Northampton.
All right, so what do you actually taste in glass? We can't just talk around this glass.
It seems dumb to say apples, but that's it. That's there.
No, it's like lightly tart, very crisp and refreshing. I like that it has a little bit of structure in the back end, some sort of like fine tannins, which sort of makes it feel a little bit more significant in the mouth.
This is going to be a little weird, but beeswax. So it's got like a little bit of a hint of why there was honey in there, you know, at some point
100%.
too.
Smaller, stronger bubbles.
Yeah, I love that. Good mousse.
Hey, Rocky, watch me pull a rabbit out of my hat.
What's the second West County cider we're going to tasting in this? I think it is our greatest alcoholic product made here in Western Massachusetts. Apologies to all wine and beer makers.
Yeah, this one smells a lot more appley, but this is the Redfield. One of the things that is very significant for West County, because I'm pretty sure that they were responsible for bringing it back and making it significant again. So like a lot of the plantings that you see, we can credit West County with that, and they kind of revived this varietal. It's a really cool apple. It's very unique in that it has red in the flesh.
Yeah.
And so as we're looking at it in the glass here, you can see it has that sort of pinkish tinge, and that's actually from the flesh of the fruit.
So most apples you cut, and no matter what the skin color looks like, it looks white on the inside. Actually, same with most grapes, by the way. So all the juice comes out clear in most grapes. But Redfield, one of those fun outliers that you cut it open and people are like, it's bleeding. It's a fun parlor trick.
Ironically, like I know this is going to be dry in glass, but on the nose, it's got this almost like taffy-ish thing going.
Yeah, certainly sweeter. I'm getting like caramel.
Really pretty on the nose, very appley.
Less of a mousse, so not quite as bubbly as the other one.
Bubbles aren't as satisfying on this one.
Boy, is it
They're
pretty
fine
on
and
the
delicate, Bruce.
I mean, I was being judgy.
That's what you're supposed to be, Bruce. We like it. Be honest. It makes us trust you more.
But it has more flavor.
Yeah, much rounder, a little bit more on the finish.
Yeah.
So pretty on the palate.
Less acidity, I think, though.
But that doesn't make it like flabby.
And flabby, if you'll remember, aspiring wine snobs, means not acidic. And also how I look during the entirety of the fall and winter.
How else will you survive these cold temperatures?
Exactly.
Yeah.
God wants me to be hardy during this time.
Need a little extra padding.
The Redfield gets like almost this like sort of red curranty thing. Like it's a lot more floral. Like this just a much more delicate.
This one's also cursed by Dracula. Oh no, that's Renfield, right?
The master will come, and he has promised to make me immortal.
It's Halloween-y time.
I just know you're going to use the Paul Rubens.
No, I think I'm going to use Tom Waits from Francis Ford Coppola's Dracula. But we'll throw in Paul Rubens from Buffy too.
Yes, Redfield feels very autumnal.
Oh yeah.
I don't know, just the flavor and the richness and...
Another thing worth noting is that while cider is essentially made in the same way as wine is made, it often has an alcohol level, ABV, closer to a beer. And also gluten-free.
Exactly. It's way more sessionable.
Yeah.
The Redfield is only 5.5.
Yeah, wow. And what about the Pura Vida, the Macintosh? 6. So yeah, it's like...
And that's usually where most of them are. You don't really get like standard ciders at like more than like 7.
And it's, worth noting that the history of ciders in Massachusetts and in early colonial days, there was like little potable water. So they would ferment these apples so that give it to people who were working in the field.
Breakfast cider.
Yeah, exactly. You know, kids would drink it. It was not considered verboten in any way.
No, and in terms of sweetening, there is a long history of that. There's sort of this New England style of back sweetening with like molasses or, raisins or whatever to bump up the ABV so that you have a little extra padding in the winter.
Yeah, this wine is flabby. Benson's double fisting right now. He got one in one hand, one in the other.
Got to go back and forth.
The Redfield's nose is really fun.
Right?
Yeah. I think I'm sort of divided here. I feel like the Pura Vida would be a really fun food wine, and the Redfield is more just like too easy to drink.
But it would be great at Thanksgiving because it's got that note that's almost cranberry-esque. Comes down to how many bubbles do you want? Lots of bubbles all of the time, or like a little bubbles that comes in and out?
Maybe we could do a Provisions house blend here.
I don't know how West County would feel about that. The Cider Thunderdome in the basement of Provisions Northampton, Crafts Avenue. The Pura Vida from West County Cider in Coleraine, made out of Macintosh.
I'm a Mac.
Versus the Redfield West County Cider.
And I'm a PC.
Made from the Redfield apple, whose flesh is red as well.
You see, each life that I ingest gives back life to me.
I am a big bubbly guy. While I was skeptical when I tasted my very first Macintosh varietal ciders, because I had bought in hook, line, and sinker to the narrative of the cider movement that you should be drinking Baldwins and all these apples that you would never try to eat. I'm going with the Pura Vida, the Macintosh. Benson?
I went back and forth here, but I think I'm going to go Redfield, partly because it really fits my folly mood vibe right now.
Yeah.
And because of that history.
Tis folly to be
I think
wise.
it's such a cool history in that apple.
And again, the Maloneys went and researched apples like Redfield, went through all these old history books, found like seed libraries, and resurrected this previously dead
Some of which are still surviving, and some of which have like built other trees in other places.
Yeah. What do you think, Khalees? You got a vote?
Oh, I'm gonna go with the Redfield.
Okay. 2 for Redfield, 1 for Pura Vida. Bruce?
I'm going to agree with you, Monty. I'm going to go with the Pura Vida.
Uh-oh.
Oh, geez.
We're at a draw. We've got to get Quincy the dog to taste.
Put them on the ground.
Yep.
And we'll just see which one.
2 bowls.
Imagine the complaint line would light up and just see the stories about poor Quincy being forced to drink cider. It'd be a lot more wholesome than some of the things he gets into.
Yeah, like the time that you ate all of Bruce's chocolate marijuana.
This is usually the point where we grab one of your random employees and are like, hey, help us.
Should we go pull? Should I go grab somebody?
Audrey.
Hi. Hello, Audrey.
Hello.
So the rules are you just taste them.
Okay.
And whatever one you like better right now, for whatever reason, is your vote.
Pura Vida.
Pura Vida first.
Lovely. Okay, and the Redfield. Redfield.
Wow. Boom! I love that kind of decision making. Give her a raise. Redfield wins.
Thank you.
But they're both winners.
They are both winners.
And frankly, like, we are too, because West County Cider bounced back from tragedy to start making ciders again, and we're all the better for it.
Yes, and they are at the apex, the epicenter of the cider making movement in Massachusetts and the country.
And the world. To be honest, they're some of the premier cider makers in the world.
And they're from right here.
Quincy.
Check them out. Now Quincy wants to go for a walk with Audrey.
So I was like, which?
We'll hear more about West County Cider and other cider makers next week when we chat with folks about Franklin County Cider Days.
The best time of the year! Up next, pulling gatherings on stage at City Space's Blue Room tonight with Human Agenda Theater and their latest work, Within the Glow.
You're listening to the Fabulous 413 on 88.5 NEPM.
The Fabulous 413 podcast is funded by UMass Amherst School of Public Policy, offering graduate programs in public affairs, public policy and administration, data analytics, and computational social science. umass.edu/SPP. The Fabulous 413 podcast is funded by Northeast Solar, offering solar options, energy security, and solutions for the local community. Learn more at northeast-solar.com.
Welcome back to the Fabulous 413. Tonight, for one night only, you can catch the latest work of our next guests at City Space in Easthampton. The latest performers using the space as part of the Pay It Forward grant program.
Human Agenda Theater is a new theater company dedicated to the process of creating and sharing stories through collaborative, interactive, and off-kilter devised theater. Within the Glow is their latest work and takes a look at what it means to convene as humans in a modern post/mid-pandemic time.
Here to talk with us about their company and the production that you can catch tonight and tonight only are Alex Paquin and Colette Parrow. Thanks so much for joining us.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
Thank you for having us.
I feel like I want to ask first, like, how did this theater company come about? Because you're new. This is like your second or third work you're performing out in the public.
Yeah, the third show.
Cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, how did this theater company come about?
So we're new to the group, but from what I understand of the lore, a group of friends came together at UMass and decided they wanted to create a theater group together. And those are our leaders, Kevin DeValdi and Kelly, whose name is a name that exists. But yeah, from what I understand, the goal was
Kelly Tierney?
Kelly Tierney. Yeah. And the goal was to get together and create theater that was collaborative and fair wage was happening and just a good way to get some diverse stories going on here in the Valley.
So you're paying your theater folks. Is that what you mean? Yeah.
Yes.
So how does that work? Is that through the Pay It Forward grant that you're able to pay these theater makers? Or how else would it work? Colette?
Yeah, absolutely. Grants are definitely integral to the process. And when having that, it enables you to have pay equity and profit sharing and radical accessibility, which is really something that with the transparency that comes from that is kind of a core principle to the theater group.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
if you were listening earlier to the show, we happened to be there when the theater makers for a happening got a grant that was going to make it available to pay the people that are participating in that. Because, as Khalees mentioned in that segment too, we love the arts, but for some reason in this country, we don't value them with actual dollars.
Yeah. So what's special about Pay It Forward is, as a person who has the residency or a group, you do get 90% of the ticket sales from the door that night. There's a small split. It's probably more than 90%, but there is a portion that City Space will get, and then we as a theater group will divide it amongst ourselves equally.
So even more reason to come out on the one night that you're doing this very interesting work. Let's talk about that work itself. Within the Glow is about human gatherings and the good and the bad of them. Why was this a topic that appealed to the people involved in your company?
So for me, I know that I can relate to a bunch of people in the group. When we went through the pandemic, it really made us start to think about what it meant to gather with people. And like when you're told you can't do that for safety reasons and you don't want to spread the sickness, it's like, okay, so we're in our own little silos now, thinking about all these things we used to do with people. And it really made us sit down and think about like some of our favorite gatherings or some that were not so savory in the past, and like really trying to show that there is connection within every single gathering that we do. Whether it's smoking a cigarette outside at work or going to a birthday party, you're coming together with people and just experiencing human life together. And it's a really beautiful thing when you think about it.
Yeah, and what we really love as part of this play is that we're highlighting some really interesting ways that people gather. So from common universal experiences to really unique ones, and just the weird and the fun of it. We're kind of breaking it down into those little bits, like, when you just get to someone's house and they're like, oh, by the way, this door doesn't close to the bathroom all the way and this sink is broken. Like, that's part of the experience. Yeah. And it's neat. We talk about how these are common things, but also unique, and it's part of that human experience that comes with gathering. So.
And of course, because it's a Human Agenda theater production, there's a fairy tale aspect to it. So, we are a traveling group of troubadours, and we're here to tell you the story of human existence and life. And it's just really fun. Like, we are going to be in a tent that we've created as a group and just really taking you into this world and just making you a part of it. Because with the performance today specifically, it's a feedback session as well after the fact, because we plan on developing the show more and taking it out on the road next year. So that in itself is a gathering.
That was literally going to be my next question. It was like, it seems like this is a workshopping thing. Do you plan on doing this again? And the answer is yes. So that's awesome. But see it in its infancy, because then the next time that you'll see it, you'll be able to see the changes.
Yes, exactly.
And we're speaking about the production Within the Glow, which will happen tonight only for now at City Space in Easthampton, put on by Human Agenda Theater. And we're joined by Alex Paquin and Colette Parrow, who are part of that production. It's called Devised Theater. It's billed as Devised Theater. If people aren't familiar with that as a term, what is devised theater?
Yeah. Devised theater is literally creating from the thin air what you want to perform. And the way we did that is we each came to the table with certain experiences and even things, objects that we have that hold a lot of importance, and then pulled the power from those objects to create something that you would really want to tell a story about. And by doing so, it's a really unique play, and it's very personal. So devising something is coming to the table and really creating and writing your own play. And this devising is very personal and unique.
Was it difficult to figure out where in that in creating a devised work, you would make the work interactive as well, because everybody's bringing something extremely personal to the table, but at the same time, like, the nature of your company is to bring the audience into the work in a very sort of direct way. So was that a difficult process, or are you really looking forward to how the audience this evening interacts with what you'll be bringing on stage?
Yeah, the audience interaction was definitely a plan from the start. We just really love the idea of coming together in a tent and having that kind of play and fun where you're sharing drinks or you're sharing trinkets that you hold on to and you don't really know why until the end of the show. And just another way to connect with people, to like have something with them when they leave, and that's always been a part of what we do. And, the whole purpose of this feedback was to really find a way to incorporate everyone in our community, the people that we love and people who were just curious will all come in and will all become this fabric of the show. And that's something that I really love about devising is, there's not a set writer or a set props person. Like, we all contribute in our own ways. And, a lot of the scenes that we're going to be performing is something that we wrote and then, open the door to creating with people and not being so sacred with these pieces of work. And it's just been a really cool way to see how our own personal stories could take on a new life.
Mm-hmm. Is it revealing too much or ruining things if we ask you what the object is that each of you have brought to this devised theater for Within the Glow tonight? What about you, Colette?
Well, I'm a Navy veteran, and I brought in my pea coat, which is one of the few pieces of uniform that I actually still have from being in the military, getting out 20 years to the day almost.
Wow.
So, yeah, I know.
They hold up and they're really warm.
And I still fit in it. Yeah.
I know. I have a bong. So
on the other end of the spectrum.
Yes, I have a bong, not necessarily the type of bong you would think of. I built a paper mache bong that I will wear.
Wow, you are the bong.
Yeah, I don't want to give away too much about that, that's
leave
where
them
I'm
wanting
at.
more. Leave them wanting to come to the one night that they'll get to see the performance in this particular iteration.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'm intrigued already. The peacoat was enough, but now the human bong is also.
Very Western Mass friendly. Yes.
Tell us about the creation of the tent. Whose idea was it to say, we talk all the time about a big tent and welcoming people into a tent. How did that idea come about?
Yeah, I think from the get-go, because our characters are troubadours and we are like fae beings, essentially. It was put out there that this is kind of a performance that they're doing that's not the big top, but more that little small traveling circus that goes from town to town. Maybe the curtains are a little sewn back together, worse for wear, but we're making it work. So I think it was really kind of put out from the beginning that was going to be sort of an idea, and we all collaborated on the looks of that. And I mean, that set is so cool. It really is. And not to mention that blue room is amazing.
Yeah, I remember early on in meeting together, it was Kevin that was just like, we're gonna be in a tent, and we don't really know what it's gonna look like, but it's gonna be something that we can build and take down and take on the road and just have it be that. And we were all just like, yes, that sounds fantastic. Let's do a tent.
Yeah, I was going to say, it feels like something malleable that is like not a huge constructed thing that you would need to like build up and tear down each time that you do this in a new location, but like something, you can maybe put it out in a field because who knows who's going to be there.
Yeah, that's actually what's next is when we take it out next year, we do plan on being outdoors.
I am psychic.
Yeah. I mean, you got a tent, right? So even if it rains,
absolutely.
you should be able to pull it off.
The idea is to be able to perform it anywhere we can.
And a circus is a gathering.
Yeah, for sure.
For sure.
And, there's a lot of interesting people that joined the circus, and I can tell already that there's a lot of interesting people within this tent that will come to City Space, the Blue Room in Easthampton tonight, and tonight only for now. Within the Glow is the name of the production, a play about gatherings from Human Agenda Theater.
We can sneakily tell you that there will be singing at the end that you can join into.
Yes, we looked at the program that's right here. It says that. And we've been joined by two of the members of Human Agenda Theater, Alex Paquin and Colette Parrow. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Next week on the Fabulous 413, musical legends and their milestones, we'll find out all about Max Roach and the tribute being thrown in his honor at the Iron Horse with Genuine Culture.
And about who lived here millions of years ago with the Tumble Science podcast for kids and NEPM's brand new dinosaur adventure map.
We'll also explore art that includes everyone and show a timeline of disability activism over the past 50 years with an opening at New England Visionary Artist Museum.
And live music from Pamela Means and more with Congressman McGovern's opponent, Cornelia Shea. We'll see you Monday on the Fabulous 413.
Have a good weekend, everyone.